Welcome to the channel, everyone. On this channel, we share stories of average Joes around the world and their not so average issues. Let's start with the first story. My partner's sister, who has a weirdly incestuous relationship with him, is abusive towards me. I always wanted to share about my husband's sister, but never did. This'll be long. So I ended up moving in with my husband's, at the time, boyfriend's family at 19. Due to some personal circumstances. My significant other and I paid one-third of the house, which included the mortgage, utilities, internet, etc. I always hated this because we were 2 out of 8 people. My significant other's sister and her family were half the household but didn't pay rent or anything. My significant other worked the night shift and I was in college full-time and worked a very part-time job. So my money basically covered our gas and I never could get more hours. It was a very small town, so jobs were hard to get, especially those okay with me being in school. So moving out was not an option. We tried multiple times. The amount we were paying literally made it impossible to save. It was one of his checks a month nearly. So, multiple times I was stuck watching her kids and they would use my significant other's TV and game systems. The kids were young, a girl about 6-year-old and a boy about 9-year-old at the start of this. I could never discipline them. I'm very much a time-out person, but the sister never allowed this. She would physically be in the house, but drunk and high on drugs, so my significant other's mom had to beg me to watch them so she could go to appointments and such. The youngest would throw controllers and scream if she ever lost games. I tried to not let them play, but the sister and his mother bullied my significant other into it because they were in a common area and they were his niece and nephew. Controllers and games were broken and or stolen by the kids' friends and never replaced. The boy even threw a basket at one point to the door next to the TV and scratched it, and even that was ignored. I always had to go upstairs to try to wake her up to get her to deal with them, which most of the time didn't happen. Oh, my husband was also forced off the systems anytime the kids had sleepovers or wanted to watch movies or play his games. Every single time. I refused and this always led to a fight. We shared a fridge and they would steal our food. When we complained, we were told to label our food even though it was on a different shelf as we were told to do. After we started labeling, the sister and boyfriend complained we were labeling food because we treated them as thieves. Names were so upsetting, so we had to then use symbols, which was still not enough, so we ended up having to buy a mini fridge. The sister got mad because I asked my significant other to change his schedule so we could have time together while I was in school. My school was an hour away and we crashed on my sister's couch, but it was the only time we actually had the day mostly free. She one night cornered me and demanded I stop doing this so she could spend time with her brother every single week. When they spent time together, they never did it to accommodate his schedule. Both his sisters and his mom didn't work, but they demanded he stay up for 16 plus hours to hang out, which then meant he was passing out at work. The sister kept demanding we make dinner. She got the mother to enforce a policy where we had to cook dinner once a week, but they never cooked for the family while we were home. Her family was so picky. Every meal had to have some sort of beef or the boyfriend wouldn't eat it. Honestly, he complained if she wasn't cooking anyway. So why was this even a thing? Cooking for 8 people is expensive considering 2 hated mushrooms, 1 only would eat beef, 1 hated how the family seasoned everything and so on. This policy didn't last long because I demanded it to be stopped. She was also pissed when her kids complimented my food. I'm literally in school for this. She kept demanding I wash her dishes. When I kept refusing, she would throw the family excuse in my face. Yet at the same time, she said we couldn't be family because I don't smoke. I can't handle cigarettes. My throat closes up and I can't breathe. It triggers my asthma really bad. My significant other hates smoking also. She then would complain I was constantly sick. Well, it happens when people constantly smoke around me. I would be sick for days afterwards, every time. This meant I couldn't watch her kids or play with them. My husband paid for the router, but it got to the point 10 plus devices just couldn't be sustained on the router. So I spent some of my financial aid to buy an expensive router to handle the load of devices. The sister and boyfriend refused to let me unplug it until their entire family stopped using it, which meant I was up until 5 a.m. to do this. Then they demanded the password so every one of the kids' friends could use it as they pleased. I disliked my significant other's nickname after I found out the meaning behind it. It was B, which stood for boy in a very degrading tone. My husband wasn't entirely fond of it either, but his family always bullied him into what they wanted because his mom liked it. The sister demanded we keep our bedroom door open because her kids were asking questions. We slept in the basement where we were 1. Weren't allowed to have our vents open because of the stepdad. 2. Were blamed for every noise in the house. 3. Her kids played outside the door while my night shift significant other slept. She also would walk into the room at all hours of the day because it had a storage room of it. Most of the time she never brought or took anything. She just wanted to enter. When we got a lock after his friend showed up while I was sleeping, she would pound on the door until we opened it. She got pissed when her daughter started calling me mom and saying she loved me more. I don't know why this started. Maybe it's because I spent so much time with her. I kept trying to get her to stop, but she wouldn't. She also hated that I sewed her daughter's dresses because she asked me to. They were just hand-sewn, but I would do this for her. I proposed to my significant other, but we wanted to keep it quiet. My significant other kind of asked the family how they would think. The sister demanded he ask her permission before he gets married. The sister! Then, when we finally came out that we were getting married, she got mad. Everything had to be about her, and she took away what little time we got to prepare for the wedding with his mom. She had to have a big birthday party so the family could prove they cared about her while my significant other and I were planning the wedding. She then tried to cancel the wedding. His mom and other sister did as well. They also hated our guest list. The mother said how she dreamt of his wedding since he was a child. After we moved out during the days of our wedding planning to my older sister's house, who converted her garage for us, his sister kept trying to use her kids against us, how they missed us, how we needed to come see them, but I wasn't allowed to come. I wasn't invited to a lot of things because she wanted quality time with just her brother. His mom enabled her the entire time and would always tell the sister if I had a complaint about anything, which caused a lot of drama. Also, the fact she got so drunk she pinned me to the couch and did things to me which the family blamed me for. This was the biggest reason we moved out. His mom literally laughed when I told her. All of this being said and done, my husband still resents me a little for forcing him to move away from his entitled family. He doesn't make it a big issue, but he often makes bitter and pointed comments in relation to me never making an effort to get along with his sister, even though I did everything she asked of me. Am I in the wrong for separating my significant other from his weird, aggressive, and entitled family? His mom is a terrible parent. The sister is grossly incestuous towards your significant other. Neither sister or his pawn's father are even okay as parents. Thank God you both escaped. Never ever let any of them into where you live. I wouldn't put it past them to drop off the kids without asking. Extenuating circumstances on your part which force you into this situation aside, you must be a saint. I say this because all of this would be a deal breaker. Selfish me would have been out of there the second junkie sister and enabler mommy demanded I look after the brat pack for free. Careful, Always lock your doors or she'll dump them on you with your signature forged on the adoption papers. Am I in the wrong for feeling ungrateful about the gift my friend got me? Some backstory. I, 21 female, have been friends with T, 24 female, for the past 3 years due to me being in a relationship with her brother, 23 male, for 4 years. We've always gotten along really well, and even though we've had some ups and downs in our friendship, we've always remained relatively close. We even lived together at one stage. My 21st birthday was yesterday, and because I was spending the day with my family, I decided to do something small with a couple of friends the day before my birthday so I could see them, as I'm not a big birthday person. My other friends had all pitched in on a gift for me apart from T and apologized profusely because shipping was taking longer than they had expected. I was okay with this. I noticed T didn't bring anything for me, and I was a little taken aback considering that was what the night was for, but I didn't bring it up. Also, a few weeks before this, T had approached me asking what I wanted for my birthday. I told her that I was after a jewelry box as mine got knocked off my dresser and smashed a few months ago. Because we're basically family, I also knew she was going through some financial troubles and mentioned if she couldn't spend the $50, the budget that we all agreed on for family birthdays years ago, that she could get me a second-hand jewelry box and maybe repaint or customize it a bit to make it more personal. She agreed to this. A few days ago, T and I got $50 manicures at the mall. I know this doesn't seem important, but it will be. Today, she came over to pick up something she had left at my house the other night, and my partner had messaged her to ask if she was going to bring over my birthday present, considering she forgot the other night. She then showed up with 2 bags and 2 unwrapped presents. Both were from Kmart. One was a jewelry tree, which I had expressed not to get me, as I have some expensive family jewelry I didn't want to display and instead be kept in a box. And a tiny mirror box with no cushioning in it for any jewelry. It was just an empty box. Then she left about 2 minutes later without asking me anything about how I was going. After she left, I know I shouldn't have done it, but I couldn't help myself. I went on the Kmart website to look up how much she spent, and the total was $17. Considering she had spent $50 on her manicure just a few days ago and the preset budget for birthday is $50, I'm really hurt. I am upset for a multitude of reasons. I spent the $50 on her for her birthday a few months ago, so I did expect the same back. Even if she couldn't spend the $50, I gave her an option to customize something cheaper to make it more personal and meaningful. She obviously forgot or was procrastinating getting me a gift and decided to run to Kmart today to get me something so she wouldn't show up empty-handed when she came to grab what she forgotten. She even messaged my partner yesterday asking if she could do a drive-by so she could grab what she forgot on my actual birthday so she wouldn't have to give me a gift. She couldn't even be bothered to wrap anything and she got me the least personal gift I've ever received for my 21st birthday. What I want to know is, am I in the wrong for being a bit ungrateful about the gift? And would I be a terrible person for telling her how I feel? Am I in the wrong for not wanting to maintain a relationship with my mother even after she changed? So I, 19 female, don't have much interest in having a relationship with my mom, around 40 female. My mom has been on drugs for as long as I can remember, but me and my sisters never really had it in our minds that she was on drugs, but we knew of her drug use. She ended up in jail for over a year, resulting in me having to move into my grandparents'. I lost a lot of my belongings due to this and had a lot of life changes. Back before she went to jail, my younger sister's dad lived with us and also used drugs. He was always out to get me for some reason, so any chance he got, he would eat my food, hide, get rid of, steal, and or damage my belongings to get me in trouble, and would also berate me when my mom wasn't around, claiming I'm a horrible daughter to my mom, even though I'd be cleaning the house while he told me these things. When my mom found out about what he was doing, she said she'd leave him if I made her choose between me and him, and I told her I didn't want him around no more. She kept him around and claimed that he's my little sister's dad and she doesn't want her to be without a dad yet. She doesn't care about him and couldn't care less whether or not he was in her life. I always felt like she chose him over me and we drifted apart and our relationship got worse over the years. I'd always wanted her attention and wanted to spend time with her, but she as always was busy and would often get mad at me when I'd badger her about her taking me to the mall or taking me somewhere. After a year in jail, she's a completely different person and she's continually wanting me to talk to her and hang out with her, but I don't have much interest. Sometimes I'll be interested, but I'd immediately lose interest after an hour or less being around her. I just can't get past what she put me through, but if I were to express any negative feelings towards my mom to my family, they'd say that she was a good mother who provided me food and shelter and just overall ignore my feelings as if they were wrong. I just can't pretend that everything's okay when it's not. I've been wanting to express my feelings to my mom that I don't have much interest in having a relationship with her, but at the same time, I'm not sure if she'd tell the rest of the family. My grandpa constantly nags me about how I never call her or spend time with her, and when I avoid his questions or say I will if I'm not busy, he'll get mad and call me self-centered. All my life, I've done everything I could to please my family and make them proud, but that cost me my happiness. Am I in the wrong for wanting to discontinue my relationship with my mother, even though she made an effort to change? And what would be my best course of action for informing my family that I don't want much of a relationship with my mom? We hope you enjoyed today's stories. Use the comment section below to state your verdict on the situation, express your opinions, and share some valuable advice.